Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Stu and the Nun, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on the show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. We would like to thank those who make this show possible, starting with the great folks here at the Veteran Radio Syndicate. Also, we can't forget our show sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, Graybeard Publishing, Sheepdog Response, and of course, Veteran Outdoors.
Romantic, isn't it? Shut up and sit down.
That's right, you heard him. Shut up and sit down. It is June 6th here on Stu and the Nun. And there's a Stu here, and as you can see, to my left, your right, my good buddy, the Nun, down in our southern studio in the great state of Tejas. What's up, Toby?
I'm living large and in charge of nothing because you're smart. Everyone knows when I'm in charge of, things, it turns Bush League because that's where I'm from, the bush up in Canada. But excited to be here. It's a day that the entire Western North Atlantic Treaty Organization can celebrate because this was the day that the tides turned and we started doing some, as Tim Kennedy said, not Nazi hunting, but Nazi killing. So we're excited to talk about that. It's a very special day in history, and I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity to broadcast today. Unfortunately, we couldn't broadcast last night due to your travel and the Texas Stars being in the Calder Cup Finals. So priorities, better to broadcast today on D-Day than that. Big shout out to Enlisted 9 Fight Company. Thank you for being our big sponsor of the show. The owner of Enlisted 9 right now is overdoing a walk across the highlands through the mud and the swamp with the senior enlisted advisor to the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staffs, Sergeant Major Troxel, Colton Smith. Big shout out, be strong. He is up there being sponsored by Veteran Outdoors and, doing good things. He's got some 511 tactical gear on. He's got a nice brand new 511 tactical backpack and shoes, boots, sorry. And he's going to be doing good things as he walks across with some fantastic wounded warriors, both from United Kingdom, Great Britain, Ireland, as well as the United States of America. So really excited to support him on that. And we got a great show. In addition to everything, we got a pretty cool guest, and pretty excited to talk with him and talk about what he's got going in business, because it's just one of those things that, everyone that's in our kind of lifestyle should know about. And then I got something else I want to talk about after he's off.
Yeah, we got a lot. We do. We have some special guest announcement info stuff, if we'd say. But no, it would. It is a. We welcome everybody for giving up some of your Wednesday night instead of your Tuesday night. Hopefully, you did something productive and contributed to society last night when we weren't taking up your time. And like I said, priorities, work. We haven't got Stu and the Nun to the point that Toby and I can only do this and sustain ourselves off of this. So we still have to do other jobs. And, his team is in the championship, and we are a couple of hockey fanatics. Right. We got Stanley Cup going on. We got that cup going on. We got the cup going on. So, yeah, so we appreciate you moving with us tonight. It would just be a better experience. And you know what? We're running our own show. We're not tied to anyone else's schedule like we used to in the past. So
You're not the boss of me.
You're not the boss of me. We can do what we want. We're the boss of each other. We're like, hey, you go with this? I'm good with this. And then we're doing it, right? Yeah, so we get along better than the Koch brothers, but we don't have as much money as them. So saying.
No.
And tonight, what are you drinking, Toby?
So tonight I am drinking a fine Canadian out of honor for those from Canada that worked on D-Day. I'm drinking a limited reserve of 40 Creek. Shout out to my brother Kelly up in Canada, for making sure that I had something from Canada that I can't get in America. So thank you, 40 Creek. Thank you, Kelly Nunn.
There we go. I am drinking a hipster beer. I think it's hipster beer. You're gonna like this. You don't hate me for this. I'm drinking Trader Jose's, which is Trader Joe's version of Corona. It's imported.
I don't know you, dude.
I know it's imported from Mexico. I'm drinking this in honor of you because you're in Tejas. I literally just grabbed it out of the fridge and I was like,
I will be in Mexico next week. So I guess that's
safe
cool.
travels, my friend. So yeah. So it's that's what I'm sipping on tonight, but I may go to whiskey later. We'll see. A lot to cover. As you can see, we have a special background tonight. We do have a D-Day background you can kind of see to our show. It did work out 74 years ago today, June 6th. Toby, from my days back when I was active duty, I guess not even active duty all the time, but yeah, definitely was active duty, in the airborne communities of the 501st Geronimo or the 506 stands alone. D-Day always aligned, this time of year always aligned up with dining ins. Right, at least in the airborne communities, right?
It sure did.
We, especially in the 501st, which was the famed movie and miniseries Band of Brothers was kind of that was that unit. So the 506th. So we in the 506 when I was in Korea, it was a big deal. It was tied to our heritage. It was in the 501st too, but in 506 it was really tied to our heritage, and it was a big deal. That's when we did our dining ins. We deal with grog, and it was a commemoration and a remembrance of this day. Which so I know units all across there's probably a lot of those going on this weekend, I would imagine. Yeah. If they could.
Well, you keep drinking that Trader Jose, you're gonna have some cornrows tied to your hair, not your heritage. So
hey, it's a diversity. I'm supporting the immigration plan. It's diversity, right? So
big shout out in our chat room to my man Mike Harris, man. My boy Chuck. Him and I, we go back, roommates. Saw some war together, saw some college together, saw some all kinds of things together, and now he's doing great things, wearing a colored headpiece that is cooler than anyone I ever got, and I'm proud of that guy. I love that guy. It's so great to see him in the chat room. But let's bring out Clint. Let's talk to Clint.
Yeah. So I want to welcome on the air Mr. Clint Gridley. He is the owner of a couple companies. Accelerated Solutions is going to be one we definitely talk about tonight, and he's also, oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. He's also the owner. I don't want to say the name wrong. I don't have my hat with me. Off the grid. That's it, off the grid. There we go. Off the grid Cerakote. And I was like, want to make sure I said it right. So, anyways, Clint, want to welcome you to the show, to Stu and the Nun, and thank you for joining us on this memorable day. If I can say that.
Man, thanks, man. Appreciate me getting me on, and you nailed that intro, by the way. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, good.
He's been known to screw that up, by the way. Like if you were to take bets on who's going to screw up names. Always take me on the over.
Yeah.
Always take me on the over.
I'll definitely put that on my notepad.
We all have our faults. Toby, you don't want him handling tech?
No, it's straight bush league.
You don't want me handling. Yeah. You give Toby 2 cans and a string, and he's still not. He's going to get himself tied up in knots. I don't know.
I was actually just going to mention that. That's funny.
Yeah. But I love him to death. Yeah. So hey, you are a small business owner, and some people may say, well, this is Stu and the Nun. You guys talk about first responders and foreign policy and domestic policy and selfless service and all this stuff. Like, what's Clint's story? But you represent a big part of what this country is about, and that is capitalism and free market, and there's a demand, and you have a supply, and you have skills and developed talents. I guess give us a little bit, our listeners and viewers, a little bit of a history. For those watching too, Clint's not able to do video, so you just hear him, but give them a little bit of your history of kind of how you came about to be this cool gun guy making stuff kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So Me and my wife have been married to be 12 years in October. And, you know, we got into the family thing, raising kids. I run a house painting company, which I actually still do that during the week. I've been doing that for 13 years. And then a few years ago, just things didn't seem right out in the world. So I decided to kind of get into more of the prepping mentality, firearms, things like that. And then a friend of mine who works at the manufacturing plant for Cerakote kind of convinced me to get into the application process of that. So a year and a half ago, I got certified to be an applicator for Cerakote. And then I've known Mike for right about 3 years. And, you know, we've always kind of talked about him getting out, and, you know, it kind of fell in my lap to me to take over Accelerated Solutions and try to broaden my horizon and kind of offer more to, you know, the people out there, kind of a one-stop shop type situation.
Well, what a guy to take over from, Clint. So Mike Cantrell, one of the most talented shooters, long barrel snipers that I had the pleasure of working with in my entire military career. You know, there's not a lot of them that I speak highly. Well, I speak highly of a lot of people, but guys like John Brady and Mike Cantrell, they were a different level of shooter. And
Sure.
What made Mike so special is innovations. He was the only infantryman that had like an industrial sewing machine in his barracks room. And like, this is a true story. And he would sew gear. He would like always look for a better like widget. He was always creating
Sure.
something, and his ingenuity, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And he emulated that. Like, he would always find a better way, you know, for us to utilize a piece of equipment or improve upon that equipment so it met our needs, met our function. And so
Right.
the foundation that he started with Accelerated Solutions, you know, coming from that sniper background and that, you know, like manipulation and fabrication background, he really started a fantastic product. And so he made some holsters for me, and did some stuff for Veteran Outdoors a couple years ago. And then so you carrying, you know, buying the company and carrying the torch, what a fantastic opportunity for you, and what a fantastic opportunity for everybody out there. Because you know, I'm getting ready to show some of the products that you've made for us on air. Hopefully, you know, like we don't get Facebook shut down, but it'll be
Right.
or YouTube shut down. But you made some just fantastic products, custom made them for us, inside waistband, outside waistband, some mag holders, and just this is some high quality Kydex. And you even were able to take and make a Veteran Outdoors specific one, utilizing Cryptek, who's one of our partners in camouflage, and just fantastic stuff. Like, way to get started.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate that. It was definitely an honor, Mike asking me to kind of take over and kind of show me the ropes, kind of just get me into that avenue. I love doing it. It's fun to work my hands. It's fun to create things. I love people coming up to me, hey, can you make me a shoot for that? I said, yeah, just give me a couple hours, and I do my best to make sure that it's 100%. So yeah, definitely an honor, man. Definitely an honor.
Yeah, and I want to say, I want to point out, you know, I was showing mine while Toby was talking. You know, I have a number. I'm not going to go into the specifics because I never give away my security posture, but I have a number of firearms, and this one I have is a Springfield XD subcompact. Probably not a super popular one. I don't know how many were made, but this is the first rendition of the Springfield XD. And I was, you know, a good friend of mine hooked me up with a Crimson Trace. It's a couple-year-old gun, and it is, you know, you throw something extra on like a Crimson. It's not a laser on it. It's not popular to find. And you were able, and this, I just want a lot of listeners and viewers to know, you know, went out of your way. You got a hold of them, got the mold. To you know, you had the mold for the Springfield, you got the mold for the laser, so you know you and this is the kind of, you know, I think the testament to the kind of work you do, and you were able to make me a custom Kydex, not only inside but also an outside the waistband and an inside the waistband with a gun that is, you know, probably 8 to 9 years old with an extra accessory that aren't just, you know, it's not everyone's got makes Glock stuff, everyone can make 1911 stuff.
Sure.
They're all over. but you did that and went through that extra step to make sure it was formed and fitted right to without me having to ship it there, without you having to put your hands on it. You have all the materials and everything to do it right there, and I want to say that was quite impressive to do that, and I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, man, that's very nice to hear. I've seen a lot of companies that kind of grow over the years, and what happens is they start getting more production mentality, so they get jigs set up and riders and all that stuff. And they just burn holsters through and pump out a bunch. And I don't know. I just kind of think doing one at a time. I hand press each one. I go through the steps. Just try to make sure that whatever I ship out is going to be the best fit for either the gun or the person that it's going to. When you get into that production aspect, I think you kind of lose touch of that. And yeah, I just can't see Accelerated Solutions taking that route. And I just love doing one at a time and making sure that they're 100%.
Well, it's that attention to detail, right? And John's in the chat room thinking he may need one for an LC9 with a laser. Absolutely, John.
Yeah, he does.
I got you, John.
Yeah.
I got you.
Hey, so Clint, where's your office located again? You're in Portland?
So I'm located in Southern Oregon in Medford.
Oh, Medford,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live about 10 miles from Mikey. So he lives over in Jacksonville. I live in Medford. We kind of just chill, get to the cabin once in a while and kind of just drink some beers and have a good time. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, John's not that far away there. He's in Washington. He's in Vancouver, Washington area.
Okay. Yeah.
So
John,
yeah, you can
message me.
guys connect.
Yeah. Message me any way you can. I'll get you set up, brother.
Yeah. It's and you have a number of patterns and designs,
Correct.
and you can I got the flag on mine, and Toby got the Cryptek. You had a number of things that you had, which was really impressive. Like I said, the attention to detail, like there are places that can crank out Kydex holsters and this kind of stuff, or other products, a dime a dozen. But I think a root of what America, like anyone can go to a big box store, anybody can have stuff mass produced. But I think some people are appreciate and are willing to pay for knowing that there's something to be said for handmade, and there's something to be said for that level of personalization. That hey, I'm going to make this right to what you need, and like you did with me, you went out and invested and got the mold for the Crimson and made it just for that. How many more of these you're going to get with that kind of thing? I don't know, but if you do, you ever have it. But I think that kind of stuff people appreciate, and I think that's going to go a long way with people. Look, people that buy guns and collect guns and invest the money and time and take on the responsibility of being a gun owner, they don't want something mass and cheap. They want something that holsters are like purses for women or shoes or that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And I'm trying, and I'm holster poor, as I'm trying to catch up with my wife and her purse collection, but it's very personal. It's like it's not so much matching colors, but it's matching what you use it for when you carry it.
I see what you did there. It's very personal. No, like I think you touched on something, Troy, that I want to highlight while we have Clint on the show. And far too often, people fail to take pride in craftsmanship. Far too often, people look for like the easy ways out. They look for the quicker, less intrusive. Can I get it on Amazon Prime? I'm guilty of that at times on certain products, but there are times when you're like, man, if this is gonna be something that is personable or personal, like you want it. You want to have an emotional attachment to it. Yes, you want to have sentimental value to it, but you want to have pride and knowledge in that you have the right tool, you have the right product, you have the right craftsman building it for you. And I love that. That's one of the cool things about America is like everywhere you look, there's a craftsman making something fantastic, pouring his love or her love and passion into it. And it's just like Mike Rowe says, we're putting far too much effort on education on certain things and not bolstering, promoting like people working with their hands, promoting craftsmanship, pride in work, pride in creating a product. And man, I just love like how Clint's kind of embraced that. Clint, I think it's awesome. You had a bit of a foundation, and you applied it, and it annexed another opportunity, and kind of brought those things together. And like I see the evolution. I see the difference. Like I was showing Troy before. I got the one that was from Accelerated Solutions a couple years ago, and the one that's from Accelerated Solutions now. There's differences. Yeah, I see the improvements. I can feel, the quality is on a great level. It's fantastic, how you're able to do that.
No, man, I definitely like hearing that. I try to do that with everything I do because that old saying goes, you're only as good as the last thing you do. So I try to take that mindset of making holsters or Cerakote guns or paint houses or even being a dad or a husband. So just try to do the best you can and hope everybody likes it and responds to it. And if they do, then everything will work out for itself.
Yeah, that's and so you're still doing house painting, you're still doing that kind of stuff. Are you hoping to get this to a point where you can really focus on this, and are you looking at expanding out? You started with one company, you've got the accelerator. Are you looking to make custom gear or get anything else? Or are you just going to try to? You think this is going to keep you busy?
Yeah,
enough?
I'm not sure what the future holds. I would like to do mostly just Cerakote holsters. I would like to eventually get out of house painting. But the farm market is kind of a weird one this year. Sales and things are a little bit down, so I'm still doing the house painting as long as I have to. Even if I am doing Cerakote holsters full time, I'll bring on guys to do the house painting. I'll just go switch over to a management type position because the construction industry around that is still going good. So I don't want to burn any bridges if I don't have to.
It's wise.
Yeah. So on the Cerakote stuff, let's talk about that. I mean, that is, do people have to, are they able to, I'd imagine, how do they get something to you? They really can't ship it. Are you an FFL?
No, I've done guns. I've had a guy ship me a gold gun from Hawaii. I had another guy in Florida, a USPA shooter. He actually bought everything to build a complete AR, probably close to $3,500 in parts. Ship them directly to me. I put them all together, do what I need to do to them, and then I ship back to him. I've got another gun in my shop that a lady sent me from, I believe, Maryland. I'm doing some work on this week. So yeah, I've done a bunch of bolt knife orders for a company in California, another company in New Jersey. Just trying to get my name out there, man. Social media's where it's at. It's pretty humbling having people ship me stuff from around the country when, a year and a half ago, I would just hang on my garage working on my own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, people are trusting you with very special and precious things, and sensitive things, and they're shipping them to you. And you're getting from places like Maryland and New Jersey, which aren't really super friendly. Those are not super friendly gun places,
Yep.
So that's it. So they can besides hitting you up on a website and you'll get them for the holsters, you can make that kind of stuff. But for the Cerakote, they can ship you stuff like FFL to FFL, work with you, pick out a pattern, pick out a pattern, all that kind of stuff and everything. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got links on my website to galleries to look at the stuff I've done, galleries to look at what other people have done, try to get some inspiration. A link to my local gun shop, which I'm kind of partnered up with. A link to a downloadable order form where you can just download, print out the details you want, and then drop it in the box and get it over to me, and I'll make the magic happen.
Well, anyone that says make the magic happen, has my vote.
My catchphrase, my catchphrase.
Hey, no, you gotta, and that's the thing is, it's like the willingness to do stuff. Speaking of social media, like where can people find you? Like, I think we have some of your stuff up on the screen. We have your offthegridcerakote.com. We have your store for Accelerated Solutions LLC.com. But where can they find you on social?
For Facebook, for Off the Grid Cerakote is just Off the Grid Cerakote, one word. Instagram, same thing, just Off the Grid Cerakote. And then Facebook and Instagram for Accelerated Solutions.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, before we let you go, Clint, want to just kind of ask you on a couple other topics. One,
Yep.
this is the 74th anniversary of D-Day, June 6th. And this day, a lot of our sons and daughters of this country, definitely our elders at the time, the ramps dropped and they just ran into literally the gates of hell.
Yep.
Or jumped into it. Everyone's watched a number of the movies that kind of, lightly probably represented what it was like. But what does this day mean to you as you reflect? Because it's, it's not a Veterans Day, it's not a Memorial Day, it's not something like that. But this is about a distinct battle, and it's a singular day that focuses so much bravery, courage, and death into one day. Just as you look back, what does this mean to you?
Well, first, I'm obviously honored to be on the show today. Not having a military background, but still having a lot of respect for, the military throughout history. I've always been fascinated with this particular war, just because of the magnitude. I mean, obviously the beaches of Normandy is gigantic, and just kind of shows what, this country was founded on, and what we'll do to try to repress evil. It's just crazy. It gives me chills just thinking about stuff like that, and I wish more people were made of the same material as they were back then. But unfortunately, those numbers are dwindling.
That's the truth.
Yeah, I don't think there were any snowflakes hitting those beaches or running down those ramps. No. Right?
There was no safe spaces.
No, safe space was not on that beach. And the only way to get there
until that door dropped.
Yeah, the only way to get there was
even then it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
It was the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an awesome reflection, and it's unique, and it's good because, those of us that have served or are serving will have different perspectives, but you're coming from, just a citizen of this country and someone that appreciates it and how much it means to you, because if you listen and believe, and hopefully most don't, what they see and hear in the media, you would think that no one in America cares or has any respect for it. So it's good just to hear that. The last thing I want to ask you too is just, of course you are in the gun industry, and Lord knows that has been a hot topic for many, many years. As we've seen over the previous administration and this administration, how things are portrayed in the media with the school shootings and teenagers running around doing fist in the air. What have you seen, or what has been your perspective on either how things have changed, gotten better, gotten worse, or just people becoming more educated or more ignorant when it comes around the Second Amendment?
Well, this is a tough one because I've got kids, middle school, and 2 in elementary school. So the last thing I ever want is for them to be in danger, for them to ever feel like they're in danger. Do I want stricter gun laws? No, I don't think changing laws is going to take guns out of criminals' hands. But it's hard to figure out what to tell the kids, how to fix it, because they just don't know. They kind of don't understand, the magnitude of decisions either way. I'm all for guns. I'm just as tired as everybody else is. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it has to do with society, the change in society, social media, lack of parenting, pediatric meds. I think there's so many factors that we have to think about before just the tool that was used. But it's tough. I mean, it's tough because I get too thinking about it and I kind of get emotional just because of the kids I've got and the ages that they're in. I'd hate to advocate, one way and then something happen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's
it's tough.
Yeah,
I think the reflection of just the majority. I think that's. Troy and I are both parents. Troy's, only got 1 left in school. Lucky dog. I got 3 left. It's and it is. Taking the kids to school. And you just I think many people feel the way you feel, and it's
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to take guns away from bad people, and it sucks that we live in a time where we have to think about arming guards at schools or, things like that. But it's like, what do? How do you make kids feel safe when they just want to go to school and get smart?
Yeah, yeah, and that's you hit on a good thing though. There's no silver bullet. There's so many factors, and whether it's at home, the desensitizing through a number of means and mediums, the school system, the lack of accountability, all these different things that affect it. And I think what unfortunately in our culture and in our politics and everywhere else, everyone's trying to find one thing, and of course they grab on the tangible object, right? But we see that people use whatever they can and so on and so forth. But you're right. It's, in my household, because we're part of we just think differently. For a long time, we go somewhere public place. I would talk to my sons, especially my youngest one. Hey, if something happens here, where's the exit? We would do that, and that I used to consider that we were the exception. Like we'd be whispering that, but I knew he was safe because I was thinking that way. Now it's the norm, and it's the norm for everybody.
Sure.
And I wonder, when do we get to the day of when you do a safety briefing and say if there's a fire, something, here's the exits. That the term's going to be if there's a fire or a shooter, here's the exits. And that's what I fear.
Yeah, and I've got minimal firearms training. I mean, I've taken a few classes here and there, go to the range once in a while, but I always carry with me. I've got a handgun vest in my truck. I used to carry the full plate gear and AR, but it's like, so maybe I should just tone down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, everywhere we go to eat, I'm always sitting where I can see the room, and exits, meetings. I mean, it sucks, but what do? You gotta be in the best position to protect the people that you love, and you gotta just do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Clint, definitely appreciate you coming on with us tonight. We had you on a little over 30 minutes, and I knew you had to get going, but hopefully it was a good time, and it was time well spent. I know we really appreciate everything you sent us, and really think you're doing a great job as a business owner. And man, I hope a lot of good things happen in your future with this, and I want you to definitely stay in touch with us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys are my first, so we popped that cherry.
Oh, yeah, that's what my man. That's what Troy and I do.
Yeah, that's I was wondering if you were going to take that bait, Toby, and you did. You went right there. So
I did.
Yeah.
But hey, everybody, Clint, thanks for coming on. Everybody, check out Off the Grid, Cerakote.com and store. A-Solutions LLC for asymmetric solutions, A-Solutions LLC.com, and follow them on the Instagram on the gram, and check them out on Facebook. Great stuff. You heard it here first, as he just said, as we are his first. Great products. The company's foundation and someone that I served with, he's carrying on the legacy fantastically. And we're just excited and we're happy to use the products, and my inside waistband, it gets utilized, and happy about it. So Thanks again, Clint. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Right on, guys. Thank you very much, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, you have a good night.
Yeah, you too, brother.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
It's always awkward that like when you get continuation with the show, like I always feel weird. Like I hope we don't sound like David Spade on like that Saturday Night Live skit, like bye-bye.
Yeah.
Because that's we don't
have a cut to commercial.
Like,
see, we could cut to commercial. We'd be like, now we're cutting a commercial, right? I got to fix.
We start
video.
playing the music like they do at the award shows.
Yeah.
No, we never want to come off like that. We love it. Just so much to squeeze in, and this is a special night. We're broadcasting on Wednesday versus Tuesday. We got a couple of these in the next couple of weeks. Just due to guests and due to scheduling that we're trying to make happen. But
every once in a while, that Canadian comes out of you. Scheduling. I hear that Canadian come out, man.
Yeah. Everyone knows that scheduling is tough.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to talk about. And one of the things that excites me for a lot of reasons about this day in history is because I think this is such a special day that comes without the fanfare that it deserves. A couple years ago, Warrior Media Solutions helped sponsor a freelance journalist, Blake Powers, to go over to the area, go to Normandy, check out different locations, for the 70th anniversary. And, it's, for me, it's special because everyone was involved. Like the free, loving people of the world banded together. Canadians, Australians, Irish, British, Americans banded together to do one of the most bold and audacious things in the history of mankind. And I can't think of another thing in history that was as bold and audacious as this day 74 years ago. And, like,
yeah, because the other major events were usually like Pearl Harbor getting attacked, 9/11 getting attacked, and everything else was a lead up. But this was a one-time climatic hit, right, where all these nations came together, the European allies under supreme command, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, there were Canadians, there were Brits, there were multiple, there were underground forces, there were all kind of stuff that came together. And we think about back then where everything was done by literally like freaking carrier pigeon. I mean, there was no internet, there was no network. Everything was by courier and telegrams and whatever written notes, and the whole thing was coordinated and planned that way. And the logistics piece of it, right? I mean, it was almost archaic and compared to today's times about how they pulled this off.
Yeah, no, like I'm tracking the Facebook chat room. In the Facebook chat room, Mike Harris, made the comment that it should be a global holiday, and it should.
Yeah.
Like when you think of like what this did for humanity, what this did for mankind, this day, the bold and audacious move, like, and I'm not talking about a book. I'm talking about leaders came together and said, hey, we need to seek a foothold. What is the way to do this? Oh, and well, here's our best chance of success, which wasn't a very high one. And we are going to employ aircraft, and we're going to drop men from the sky. We're going to put men out of boats weighing more than gear that weighs more than them. They didn't have the lightweight Gore-Tex. They didn't have like the water wicking,
into salt water and rolling surf on a beach.
Yeah, that
sand.
Yeah, was over their heads. With minimal training. Like they didn't go through CWST. And let's seek a foothold on something that's heavily defended, heavily fortified. When I think of those Rangers climbing up Point de Hoc, like I'm right now, I'm like, oh, it's mind blowing. When I think of those guys just hitting Omaha, when they're hitting these beaches, when these guys are, planes are getting shot out of the sky and the pilots are just like turning on lights randomly and telling people to get out. All these different things that are happening. It was just all these countries, all these people coming together. Hey, this is going to be your beach. This is going to be your drop. This is going to be your thing. It just, people don't understand. And one of the reasons it's so personal for me is because my grandfather, William Devereux, served in Her Majesty's service. And while serving in the service, he was part of a group of people that was linguistically talented. And, he was a field artillery officer. He's a forward observer in North Africa and then into Italy. And then had to go in and help do the targeting and the plotting of targets on the mainland of Europe. And, like so many people in so many different ways coordinated and worked together to do this thing primitively in comparison to what we have today.
When you think about it, right? Not since the days of the American Revolution up to the Civil War, really the Civil War. And I'm a pretty good history buff, but not that big where someone can correct me. But not since the Civil War have we ever lined up cannon fodder like we did here, right?
No.
The days of skirmish lines and lining up across and just marching until you got shot or you shot your one round. I mean, those days ended because we learned how to do guerrilla warfare and flank and outmaneuver and pretty much fight dirty, right? If we wanted to win, you did whatever it took to win. And we didn't really, World War I, they hunkered down in trenches and they faced across each other and they just, gassed each other and they threw grenades, and on Christmas night they came together and stuff. But they were hunkered down because they didn't just get up and start walking to each other. This one, if you think about that, if people put this into perspective, not since those early days of our country and up through the Civil War did guys in those boats line up, or even in the planes, but more so in the boats. The shots are happening. You're hearing the MG-42s, you're hearing the machine guns, the howitzers, the artillery. And, I mean, there's bullets coming through those. Guys to the left and right are probably getting hit.
Zip,
bullets
zip,
are
zip.
cracking overhead, and then that door drops. And you're literally, you can watch, probably Save It Private Ryan is probably, those opening scenes are probably the closest I could ever be like. Yeah. And even that is probably pales to what it's like. But for most people, including, I think, ourselves, those in the military, that is still awe-inspiring. The sounds and the visuals that happen. Much what we miss is the smells and everything else and the vibrations and the feeling. But, you see that ramp dropped and they literally were walking into a meat grinder. But we threw so many troops at it, it was almost like the days of the Chinese hordes of cannon fodder, and the fact that we'll throw so many till they run out of bullets and then we'll overrun them, right? And the soldiers nowadays were raised in in those days, should I say, were raised and trained in tactics that we didn't do that kind of stuff anymore. But for this one, they kind of had to. They had to overpower them with sheer number.
And on top of it, so we're not talking a small group of trained professionals. We're not talking about a small group of men that have honed their skill craft over decades.
Yeah, this isn't an SF. This isn't an A team or
no.
A SEAL
we're
team
talking. We're talking about every swing and Richard that we can find. Willing to or unwilling, to be engaged, and then the courage. So you're going into something that's not good. There was a couple times, and seeing guys' names in the chat room like John Kaiser and Mike Harris, tonight, it's kind of making me a little bit nostalgic. There were a couple times where we did things where I was like, this isn't really good. This could go horribly wrong. In my mind, there was still that word could.
Right.
Like I still had hope. I still had, confidence. It wasn't 100%, but I still had it. These guys, the ramp dropped. Even before the ramp dropped, the mortar rounds, they were being shelled in the water. They were being artilleried in the water. The ramp dropped, and like me, you got to go.
Yeah.
And like the courage to, while the man in front of you is being cut down, to continue. Like, there's not a lot of hope when you're going into a barrage and the man in front of you is being diced. The opening scene of Save It Private Ryan, I think, does a little bit of justice to it. Watching it on a flat screen TV might not give you the full effect. Maybe you need to go watch it in IMAX or, in say the Nun Cinema, and, crank that volume up to feel, and hear things around you. But, and it's, again, the audacity of us to say, this is what it's going to take to defeat evil. This is what it's going to take to free land and get someone and a mentality and a theory and a philosophy out of power that is currently, and we didn't even know at this time, the extent at which the Nazis were doing evil.
Right.
Like,
you're right.
We had suspicions.
You're
we
right.
had suspicions, but we did not know the depth of the depravity
We didn't until we came
no
across those
idea.
camps. Yeah, until we came across those camps, we couldn't even imagine. I don't think we could.
Right.
I don't think anyone could have imagined that level of evil.
And on top of it, we're not talking about someone in this distant land that looks different than us, that smells different than us, that it, like in the Pacific, you had this clash of cultures as well. And I'm not belittling the Pacific in any way. What happened on those islands is just as important as what happened on those beaches on this day. But I'm saying, like, an enemy that looks like you, that talks like you, that was raised in the same church as you. Like this was like all of these things combined, and then to see the level of depravity, the level of evil, and not even comprehend some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and this was such an audacious move. People talk about, a few months ago, the rhetoric that was going on about Donald Trump in South Korea and North Korea, pardon me. The entire peninsula, as a matter of fact. But, he's going to do this, or this is going to put us to this position. This is going to, we're talking about Iran. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing like putting hundreds of thousands of men onto a beach, into fire, with a very slim chance. But it's like Hail Mary. Like,
Yeah.
Doug Flutie was the guy, or Doug Flutie, somebody was like Doug Flutie, like, there's a chance. Let me throw this up in the air. Let's see if we can get these birds to get enough inland to get people on the ground behind these artillery. Let's see if we can get guys up Pontahawk. Let's see if we can get people on Dog and on Omaha and get up and, like, shut down these shell batteries. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can seek a foothold so that in 2 days we can bring enough of a force to continue a march to go across not one, not two, but countries. Let's try and free the world from this depravity, from this evil. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is, what is, like I say, the level of selfishness or selflessness, should I say, that these guys had. And you know what? You may have, some of the guys, everyone was scared without a doubt, right? They would be insane if they weren't. But, part of it is probably like, well, if you're not the guy in the back, you're getting shoved out anyways. And by then you better just run and get up there and do it and go forth and conquer. So we look at these guys now, and the numbers are dwindling, whether they were on Omaha, whether they were on the Arizona, which is only 5 left, including our good friend Lauren F. Bruner, and all these other areas, whether they were the paratrooper Marines jumping around in the South Pacific, where there's very few, or they were on Iwo Jima or wherever. I mean,
Tarawa,
this is, if you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, to meet a World War II veteran, you better treat that like you've got a freaking winning lottery ticket in your hand, because
Amen.
As every day goes by, the chance of you never seeing one again goes up a lot. I don't know, 5-fold, 10-fold. There's not many left out there. There's no World War I's obviously left, but I mean, these men and some women are walking pieces of history. We have been lucky, Toby and I, and in the history of being on the air and doing shows now for, I think, 8 years now, to have interviewed and talked to a number of them, from Iwo Jima, Lauren Bruner, folks that were in the Bataan Death March. We've interviewed so many people over the years that it is a true blessing, and one of the reasons why we do this show, because we get to meet these awesome people. But if you get the chance, a friend's grandparent or great grandparent or yours or anything like that, take that opportunity to talk to them. I have an uncle that's no longer with us. Toby, he was a glider. He was a glider trooper, right? You're talking about guys in
unpowered.
Right? You're talking, they got glider wings.
Prayer.
Glider wings. He was War II. He was He became a very, very famous doctor, and up until his last days was a well-renowned, big famous doctor that delivered thousands of babies and did all kind of great stuff. But back then he was a glider trooper, and they got in essentially a paper and wood made thing that looks like a big paper airplane that could hold troops, and then dropped, right? And they crashed, and which is, I'd rather be a paratrooper. Granted, I was. I'd much rather jump out of a plane and be under a parachute and be under some of my own control than be in a box full of dudes, like hoping that not too many people snapped bones when you landed. And I use the term landed with finger quotes. But the level of, I mean, how did things stay up in the air with balls that big, right? The I mean,
Cast iron.
they was like, we're gonna take you up on a plane, sort of a plane. It's kind of a BS paper mache plane, and we're gonna just, well, yeah, there's gonna be flak coming up and anti-aircraft, but we're gonna let you go, and you're just gonna go on in and crash land. Oh yeah, don't get hurt, jump out, and then start fighting, right? Yeah. It's like, you get a chance to meet someone like that's done it. You get to meet, like, we had the opportunity a couple years ago at a Millblog conference to meet some Tuskegee Airmen, right? We've had, you get someone like that, or a glider, or even a paratrooper that jumped in, or anyone that stormed Normandy, or did anything in World War II. I don't care if they were a supply guy. They still had it harder than probably most have had today, because they didn't have the advances and the technical advances and everything else and the weapon systems. So, definitely take that opportunity. And take and understand what this day is about. If you get a chance to go to the World War II Memorial, I shared up a post today. I was there 4 years going to 70th anniversary just by accident. I didn't plan for it to be. And if you've never been there, it's an awesome memorial. Be there on a day like this. And if you don't get a lump in your throat, I mean, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, when you see the number, I mean, other countries may badmouth us. They may badmouth our administration. They may say what they want about us. But let me tell you what, the ones that participated in D-Day and the ones that we saved from D-Day, their gratitude is shown at that memorial greatly. I mean, there's wreaths, flowered wreaths line up from every country, and vets come there and everything else. But it is it is an awesome thing if you ever get to DC to see the World War II Memorial and see and look at those number of gold stars on that wall and look at how many lives each star represents. It is phenomenal. So you're right. This should be, as I think it was John that said in the chat room, this should be a national holiday. Or Mike said. I'm sorry, Mike Harris said it. Yeah. It absolutely should be. When else has our country and the countries of our allies ever come together? So many men and women come together to demonstrate such an awesome showing of courage and bravery at one instant moment.
It's never happened before that or since then, and that's why, part of me, it is saddened by it, but I'm like so glad that we're able to broadcast today and honor it. The one of the last things I want to share about it is if you are in Europe and you're traveling, please go to Normandy, and the reason to do it is twofold. One, it's beautiful, and two, you will see how the rest of the world looks upon and honors those that sacrificed. You will see a cemetery that is better maintained than any cemetery you've ever been to. You will see the final resting places of bodies of Americans, Canadians, British, Australians, Irish, Gurkhas. You will see the resting place of all these different nationalities being cared for better than you will see them in their own countries. Yes, I said it, better than they're being treated here in America. When you go to some of these cemeteries, and some of our veteran cemeteries are spectacular, but that's nothing in comparison to what you'll see there. No one's writing poetry about some of our cemeteries here, but people write poetry about that.
Yeah, I would love to go. I would imagine it is an awesome sight. It's got to be moving.
Is just that when you realize that someone is caring for something that happened 74 years ago, the way that they are demonstrates the value that it has on the entire globe. And people don't go to the veteran cemeteries here. They rarely get visited. People when they go to DC, Arlington's not a big of a Arlington National Cemetery is what I was speaking of, is not the tourist attraction that you would think it should be, even though some of the greatest Americans that ever lived are, interned there. But, go see it, see the beauty, see what they can, and, understand that while we might not always comprehend what was done, the rest of the world absolutely does and is grateful. And when we talk all the time about the grateful nation, well, you go there, you'll see the grateful globe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, yeah, that was definitely that's kind of probably caps out a good cap to our D-Day remembrance. But I want to talk a little bit about get an update from a good friend of ours and give our listeners and viewers a good update. And one, I'm going to first give her kind of reflection on this, and then I want to give an update on it. So our good friend Sarah Lee. For those that are a fan of the show and been following, know that Sarah is a former soldier, and as she did a bike ride, was doing a bike ride across country, got banged up and ran off the road by a car in Colorado. Had to pause her trip, come back and recuperate, fix her knee. Luckily, she survived, and luckily she didn't have something worse happen. Well, she has gotten back on the road through a lot of support from people, and she is back out in Colorado. Toby and I talked to her today, and kind of asked her what this means to her, because she's kind of riding across the country from coast to coast, as part of a dedication and remembrance of soldiers, and to bring awareness and stuff. And kind of said, asked her what it meant to her. She's got a first ID, First Infantry Division combat patch from her time in Iraq. And of course, First ID was a main proponent in the beach landings at Normandy. And she's got it with her today, and said it's definitely on her arm, and she considers it an honor and a privilege to be wearing the same patch that so many that we talked about, that stormed that beach, that walked to the last steps they ever made, and faced a fear that we can never imagine, wore the same patch. So that was an awesome thing to hear from Sarah. And then we got an update from her too. So for those knowing, she's putting up some blog posts, I think, but she just left Pueblo, Colorado on Saturday. She had a nice motorcycle escort, and she did about 50 miles, and then did another 58 miles. And she left Salida, Colorado today, and she has she's got about 122 miles done so far. And she's got about 1,800 miles left to the Golden Gate. So what she did is where she got hurt in Colorado, she shipped everything back to the East Coast, got recuperated, and now she shipped everything back out there, and she's picking back up where she left off. Keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Tomorrow she is doing a 4,000-foot climb, ascent on the bike in only 18 miles. So if you think about 18 miles and going up 4,000 feet, I don't know what the math is on that. I'm not a math whiz, but I would imagine it's pretty steep. To be on a bike.
Yeah, no, it's one of the tallest grades, steepest grades in America, in North America, actually, in terms of highways. And she's going to tap out at almost 11,000. I want to say it's 11,300 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's got this Army flag that she's been carrying. She's a proud Army sergeant, and she's going to summit. I think that's the appropriate word. She's going to summit tomorrow at the highest point that she's ever been of this ride, starting in Virginia tomorrow after, it's like a 4,000-foot climb, right? And she's going to summit tomorrow over 11,000 feet and chill out at the top there. I'm sure it's going to be impressive. We talked to her shortly after she summited the second highest peak already. That was last year that she did that, and she had some wonderful reflections of that. So how cool is that to take it? And then after she's done that, it's like 4,000 feet down.
Yeah.
She won't be pedaling for
no, but I hope she didn't get too crazy. I hope she hits the brake a few times and doesn't run crazy. But yeah, and she said her knee is strong, her spirits are high. She's got a ton of support and encouraging people. She says it means more than anyone can imagine. What she's seeing and experiencing. We've talked to her a number of times on the show, about, you know, the people she met and things she's and how much more this ride has been than she ever thought it was going to be. So it's kind of cool that now she knows what she's getting into. So she's just beyond excited about who she's going to run into, the sights and smells and things she's going to experience crossing this country. She's going to be sharing a lot more on her blog. She also want to give a big shout out to the VFW National, the Pueblo, Colorado community, and the Great Divide Bike Shop, and you know, just Wetmore, Colorado community. Just a ton of people, groups are coming out to support her. You know, this young, you know, blonde, young. I call her young. She's younger than me. Blonde, you know, soldier out there on her own, riding a bike. You know, 24, 25 pounds on it, which is crazy that she's got it that light in gear.
Yeah, down from 90 pounds.
And that's like, including a very nice Gerber knife that I know she has to protect herself.
Yeah, well, she'll stab a fool with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, keep her in your thoughts. Keep up on her blog and her Facebook page. And we wish Sarah the best. And obviously, we'll be talking to her. We'll be having her on probably about the time she finishes or after she finishes. But we're really, really excited for her to get that update from her.
Yeah, no, like one of the reasons it's, you know, a big shout out for her to the national level VFW, the Veteran of Foreign Wars, is they gave her a fantastic grant to help her continue the journey. A lot of that has to do with some of the direction that she was going. I don't know if you remember, but in the episode that we had her on not too long ago, Warrior Media Solutions pledged a sponsorship. It was matched by some other folks. Some people that are in our chat room also stepped up and donated some money. And, you know, the VFW also gave her this grant. And she's, you know, utilizing that, you know, to, you know, speak with veterans and to, like, kind of, you know, create opportunities for veterans to have fellowship and join together. So that's fantastic to see the VFW do that. Too often we think of the VFW as the old man club, and you know, they're getting behind like this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, just fantastic example of, you know, the current generation of warfighter, and you know, that's fantastic. And then the Great Divide Bicycle Shop helped her out when she got hit and run off the road by that truck and trailer, and helped her out. And so she went back to them out of respect and out of love for what they were able to do for her. And it's fitting, and they're just fantastic. And we're going to put some pictures up here later of some of the veterans that rode with her the past couple days, starting at that bike shop. So some great stuff. It's really neat to think that something as simple as riding a bike can bring people together. I'm a big fan of two wheels, powered and unpowered. And, you know, there's days where, you know, I like getting on my Trek and, you know, trying to burn some of the fat that's around my waist. And then, you know, it's great to see the fellowship of the community support her. And man, like you said, she's how much till she hits the Golden Gate? Like she's under
1,800, right? I think it's
she's under 2,000. I know that. So like,
right.
That's huge. That's huge when you think of the accomplishment of how far she's come and the land, and especially the rehab and the damage and all that. So like, she's an impressive young woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we wrap up tonight, I want to do our friendly Stu and the Nun public service announcement, PSA. And the PSA for tonight is don't do drugs, kids, because if you do, it could make you decide to steal an M77 armored personnel carrier and drive at 60 miles.
I knew you were going to FDC Tom. Wow.
FDC. As did a company commander, first lieutenant, company commander of an engineer company, under the influence of drugs. Not sure what.
Ambien. Say it was Ambien.
Ambien. Is that the Roseanne thing to do? He's on an Ambien laced. I think he would have fallen asleep and not probably drove at 4 miles. He would have fell asleep and ran off the road. Yeah, he is a former Afghanistan vet. First lieutenant as a company commander, has more than 11 years of service, but decided to steal an M577, which is an awesome vehicle. Lived my life in it in Desert Storm, and is a great thing. Not the sexiest looking tracked vehicle there is, but the most comfortable in my opinion. Yeah, drove it 60 miles with cops chasing him until he finally, I guess, sobered up or fell asleep and pulled over, and they arrested him. But don't do drugs, kids. They'll make you steal an armed personnel carrier and put yourself in, and probably get a bad OER out of that, or mess up your career, I would imagine.
No, like the Facebook video that I saw that like led me to investigate this, it's just fantastic. You know, you're watching like this cop car go by, and this person's like, I don't know who made the video, and I'm passing judgment here, and I'll probably get assassinated later, but like in my mind, I have this person that's like gone into like the local convenience store, gas station. They bought themselves a Four Loko, or like they're about to play a game of Edward 40 hands, and here this cop car goes by, so they're like, let me film this. Like, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, and they don't know that it's like an FDC, right? What they see is like this tank, this tracked vehicle, like a tank, zipping by. Like, dude, it just took me back to the 80s, that movie, Tank. Like I was just like, fight the power.
Yeah,
FDC gone wild, man. U11 Chucks. You guys are a special breed.
He was an engineer, though. I don't know. And apparently, it may have been because he didn't follow Doug Mullen's advice of take Motrin and drink water. He apparently did a number of tweets before he did this, almost like he knew he was going to do it, including one of them saying, I quote, "Where is this damn water buffalo?" Right? The guy could have been a little dehydrated, right? We know that can do weird effects on you. But I've been dehydrated before. Stealing a 5.77 or any military vehicle never came to mind. So don't do drugs, ladies and gentlemen. They can have you do dumb things. And this is right up there and ruin his career. So anyways, that's very important. The guy worked at NASA, too. He wasn't a dummy.
Well, I know people that work at NASA, too.
That's true.
Shout out to my homie Steve, co-founding partner of Warrior Media Solutions, Steve Fletcher. What's up, buddy?
There we go.
Like every now and then NASA needs a strong Ranger, and they took him. Speaking of Rangers, got this little ditty as well as some other ones in the mail today, and the reason I'm wearing it because like in honor of Paul Rykoff not being invited to the White House because he's not a champion. But this is my Run Ranger Run from the Gallant Few.
Oh, nice.
This is my medal from Run Ranger Run. This is the team medal. And for those of you that don't remember or don't know, we had Candace Bryant on from the Gallant Few talking about Run Ranger Run. And Run Ranger Run is in the month of February, where you are part of a team, or you or yourself, or you create a team, and you pledge to run 565 miles. And there's fundraising goals, and our team 100% and then some, which is captained, of course, by Candace Bryant, my wife Jessica, myself, and some other friends of ours, and Candace. We made our 565 miles in the month of February. We met our fundraising goal. We were one of 20 teams. That's why we get the big medal, the team medal, because what this money goes to, and what this helps promote, is the transition of war fighters. And in late October, there's going to be a vet expo, and we're going to have the Gallant Few team come on and talk about the vet expo, and that's going to be taking place in Dallas, Texas, so it's centrally located in the United States, so veterans from around the country can come, and this vet expo is going to take it to a different level. And there's some fantastic things that are part of that, and I'm really excited and look forward to an announcement about perhaps, I don't know, like maybe me being a speaker or something.
Oh wow!
You never know. You never know. But big shout out to Gallant Few for the efforts that they do, and it's just wonderful seeing organizations like the Gallant Few and like Centurion Military Alliance, Shantae Myers that we had on, and her husband Jared that we had on last week, and.
Last week I got to hang out with Jimbo, which was a great time. And if those that don't know Uncle Jimbo, that dude is just the stories. But I was telling him all about Shonda. I was telling him all about seeing him. He had never heard of him either. Because I was there. I had dinner with him Wednesday night in D.C. And I was like, dude, let me tell you about these guests we had on last night. I was filling him in, and he had never even heard of them. That's definitely...
That's a sad part, like we need to do a better job, and that's on, you and I have some responsibility here, and that's one of the things that I love about us and our opportunity to be on the show. Oh, look at that! I got the Nuns got someone saying hello from Terrace, BC. Oh, that's awesome, Carmen. What's going on? Like I'm not the only Canadian on tonight. That's awesome. No, and that's on you and I, Troy. That we need to ramp up our game, man. I think you and I have always, as senior NCOs, felt the obligation to provide opportunities, knowledge, and things for those around us. That's our job, right? And so, like, I look forward to getting more of these guests on and connecting our friends like Jimbo and Shante together to continue to do this and, continue to do things to support the gallant few and, guys like Mike Schlitz and Carl Monger and, Candace and the crew. So that's what I'm wearing my championship medal, even though it doesn't come with an invitation, it comes with something even better. Yeah. And that's the knowledge that I did something good and I didn't do it for an invitation.
That Rykoff could do that. He could maybe run 500 something miles, 565 miles. He could do something for the betterment of an organization and for soldiers.
The only thing that guy can run is his mouth.
Yeah, I know.
And
I was trying to I was trying to throw it down and challenge him. Right.
That dude's a douche.
Right.
Anyway,
but hey,
that's probably I'll get bleep that. That was disrespectful.
That was Yeah. But yeah, and we're hoping we got some guests coming up, some great ones we've been still working on. We've had a few here and there. Clint was a great one on tonight. We got some others. I've actually been talking to Colton, our good friend Colton Smith from Enlisted 9 Fight Company, and we almost linked up. He's out of town, so when I'm back in DC, I'm not going to see him. But I'm hoping, Toby, that we can line it up where I'll be with Colton on a Tuesday night show and maybe do it from his house. That'd be fantastic. He and I from his house, and I can see his awesome I Love Me room, which we've seen on camera, and his gym. And he'll probably just, smoke me. But
he needs to take you downstairs to the cage room and beat you up. But, big shout out to Colton right now doing this walk. It's awesome that he's able to do these things. And, we're proud to support him. And, when he gets back, I hope we can make that happen because he's a joy to have on.
Yep. So, anyways, be sure and join us next Tuesday. I will probably not be in the home studio. I'm going to be in a mobile studio somewhere, but we'll be on next Tuesday evening at our normal time, right? You good with that, Toby?
Ish, yeah.
Okay.
Next week is fine.
Yeah. So we'll be on, and I think we need to do a show on a boat too, John. I think we need to come up there and do a show on a boat. There could be some. That would be a good one because apparently Toby and I are known as the Cherry Poppers now. Maybe that should be our tagline.
Yeah, maybe we should broadcast while catching salmon.
While catching salmon, I could teach you a thing or two about that. Maybe.
I don't think you can, bro.
I slayed a lot in the Alaska days. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I have killed many a salmon and halibut. And,
yeah, dude. But I don't feel
weren't
you.
You were inland. Weren't you an inland Canadian? Weren't you way interior?
What are you talking about?
Were you on the coast at all?
Dude, what are you talking about? The Skeena River, where the largest salmon have been caught in the history of mankind.
You ever dip netted a salmon? I dip netted a 55-pound king one time. It almost killed me. It did. It almost pulled me in the cover.
That's it. That's all you got on your record.
On a dip net.
That's all you got on your record.
No, it's just a dip net. It's not catching with a hook, dude. Anyways,
you need to get down to Morristown Canyon and see what it's really up about.
John, I think we need to come up there. Appreciate the invite. We'll see what we can do on that one. But anyways, hey, everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you all and you allowing us in your homes tonight, but letting you allow us in your homes next Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Stu and the Nun. I want to thank Clint for coming on, Sarah
Accelerated
for
Solutions.
Accelerated Solutions, and everyone, take a moment tonight for as you crawl into bed and put your head on your pillow. Just close your eyes and say something for all those souls and the families of all those that gave their lives so valiantly 74 years ago today. So with that, Toby, I bid you a good night, my friend, and everyone else. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nun Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenun.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, PoohHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.